So yeah, I never thought that I would actually ever have to make a video about this, but you see a lot of people talking about the end of times. They're crying, they're bawling their eyes out, and I was like, well, you know, that's great. But last night, 12:30 a.m. last night, March 26th into March 27th. I saw what appeared to be a super realistic dream, almost as if I was looking right out my window. And I saw this house on top of this, it was like a barn house on top of this hill. On the right side of it, you could see horses outside just in chaos, like they were scared or something. And you had this sense that there was a lot of chaos, a lot of panic going on. And as I looked at this barn up on top of this hill, it started to have fire on the side, on the right side, in my peripheral vision, that I could see it on the right side of this barn house. It started to have fire. You could see the flames lighting up the undercarriage of the roof, underneath the under roof of it. And instantly I saw this smoke going off to the side, and as I followed it from the house, this smoke started, it turned in like a fire smoke, like a black smoke, and then it went darker and darker and darker, and it became really massive until it almost looked like an eruption, like a volcanic eruption, but there was no like, and there was no fire coming from it. It was just this massive black cloud, dark cloud, that was manifesting, like it was becoming very big. And as it was moving about this speed right over, and it was just a big line of this big massive cloud that was just moving. And as it comes across, I look off to the side and I see these neighboring houses, and there's these people that are just literally going right up into the cloud. And there's a lot of them, like a lot of people just being beamed up into this cloud. And almost instantly, as soon as I saw that, I said, God, save me. That was the only word I could think of or say at that time. I said, God, save me. Then all of a sudden, I'm in this bright light. I can't see nothing. It's super bright. And I can feel that I might be in a crowd of people. I didn't feel distressed or scared. I felt like I was in a crowd of people. So once I felt that crowd of people, it was like you could feel that you had plenty of time to learn, to develop. You had a sense of being new, like your first day on a job. The distress that I felt from going from Earth to wherever, I actually, it happened so fast I couldn't tell if I was in heaven or if I was still on Earth. But that was my question, was, did I get saved? But I thought that with the bright light, with me surrounded by a bunch of light, around a bunch of people I can't really see, and I'm in the light, I must be saved. So that was the only thing that was running through my mind. And instantly it felt like a car accident, like the distress that would come from a car accident, surviving that car accident, and then thinking about what happened after the car accident. That's how I felt. I was thinking, what just happened? Where am I? What am I doing? But I believe that it was a rapture sign, that God is actually calling us to being caught up into the air, into the sky, when he comes on his cloud. This cloud wasn't a glorious cloud full of brilliant light. It was a dark, judgmental cloud. It was coming with power and force, and it was coming like a wave. And it was just calling people up. People were just like that. And when I was in this bright light, surrounded by this crowd of people, it felt like I had plenty of time to learn, develop. I felt like a baby, but I was still in my body. But I had this sense like I had plenty of time. I had almost eternity to develop and learn about where I'm at, what I can do here, create new skills, do things. And I had this instant knowledge about everything was planned out. Like next week you're doing this, next week you're doing this, next week you're doing this. Like everything was so organized, and I had it all in my mind, and it was instant. And I was like, well, this is going to be pretty cool. But I think it was a sign. And as soon as I woke up, my wife was like, you got to find out what that dream means. And in that dream, according to the Bible and Bible scholars, I found that dream indicates that God will show older men and younger men dreams. God speaks to his prophets and prophetess about visions, divine visions that he wants to communicate. And so if we don't share those, like as I'm sharing here right now, the importance of that sign and that message, then that nobody's actually really going to believe it. And I mean, I always believed in a rapture. I always believed in a calling up. You always wonder if you're going to be in that calling up of that. But with that being said, I've had other strange visions about being in heaven, where I actually stood on this grassy area, and I looked up and I see, and this is a different dream, right? So I've stood on this grassy knoll area, just like a straight grass, and just blue skies off in the distance. And as I look up, I can see these floating land masses with green grass also on them. And it was an indication that everybody has their own heaven, and that is provided to them by God. And it was kind of like, what I got from it was like a playground for each individual. There was a centralized heaven where everybody could go to, but you had your own land lot, and that's basically where your house would be built. That's where your own everything would be done. And as soon as I look off to my left, I see this bright light again, and I see these wings, and it's a white horse with wings like a Pegasus, and it's super, super white. It's got blue eyes, and it basically puts its nose right on my head, and I can feel its breath, and its breath matches my breath. As soon as I breathe out, I breathe in. And it wasn't like a claustrophobic type of breathing, but it was breathing at the same time I was breathing, like as if it was giving me air. It was really strange. Then we look to our left, and we start running across what appears to be my land in heaven, floating. And we're just running through the grass. And I'm running with a horse that has wings in the grass, which was the craziest thing. And then I woke up. Other time was I had passed away, and in the dream when I passed away, I had saw my wife and I told her, I said, hey, am I gone? Am I past, am I done? And she says, no, because if you were passed away, I couldn't see you. And I said, well, there's like two or three voices behind me that's telling me that I'm passed away. And so I don't really know what to do. And she says, well, go see your father. And if he sees you, then you know you're not passed away. So I go and instantly I just pop up right where my father is. And he's got his foot up on the table watching like Western movies, which usually typically does. And I'm waving at him. I'm like, hey, can you see me? And he just completely ignores me and keeps watching. So then I pop back to my wife and I'm like, hey, I went to my dad and he couldn't see me. And she says, well, he probably just was ignoring you or something. And so she's kind of like okay with the fact. She's not really like panicking that I'm telling her that I'm dying, but she's kind of okay with it. And so as soon as I go back to her, I look over to my left and there's this brick doorway, like an arch, brick door that just pops out of nowhere. And there's these white linens that are just flowing out of it. And there's like this. And so when I look at that door, I go over, I said, do you see that door over there? She's like, no, I don't see that door. I was like, well, they're calling me to go, and that they're calling me through that door and they're saying that I should go through that door. So when I go through that door, she says, okay, I'll be waiting here for you when you come back. And I was like, okay. So then I go through the door, and as soon as I go through the door, this bright light hits me again, and it says, I'm sending you back. The boy needs you. Never really knew what the boy was or who the boy is, even up until this time in my life. I still don't know. The fourth, fifth time that I've ever had a vision was I was actually in a motorcycle accident in real life. I was coming off of the top of a hill in front of a hospital, and I was on a Harley Sportster 1200 by myself. I was wearing shorts, flip-flops, and a tank top and a full-face helmet. I had slid out of control. I saw a bunch of nurses and doctors on the side of the road, and they were all standing there. I thought, well, this is kind of weird. Distracted me. And so as soon as I come around the corner, going about 20, 25 miles an hour, I'm at the top of this hill and I'm coming down around the corner. And as I veer around the side, I see about 20, 25 cop cars coming up the hill towards me. And of course, I startled. It scared me. I slammed on my brakes. I fishtailed to the side. My bike just went over. I went over the handlebars, and instantly, like this orb, like just kind of like right here, right in my visual, just shined, and it's just glistening. And it says, listen to what I say. Put your hand here, put your foot here, put your other hand here, put your other hand here. And as soon as I did that, only my hands, only my elbows, and only my knees were scraped up with road rash. I had no broken bones. I survived. I didn't hit anybody in a car or anything like that. It was just me, myself, and I, and the pavement. They scraped the rocks out, and I told the police report that there was a bright orb that was telling me where to place my hands, where to place my feet. As I was sliding on the concrete, I slid over 100 feet from the initial accident area downhill on my own skin. And God has always been there. So all I ask is that you take this video, you learn from it, you theorize in your own opinion what this all means to you, and that you turn to God. If you haven't, and you ask for forgiveness, and you repent of your sins, the sins that you know you've done, the sins that you do not know that you've done, because there will be a day where you'll have to answer for the things that you did not know. Do you remember doing this? No, I don't remember doing that. Well, you did. It was all caught on tape, and God's got the tape.